All right, you're listening to Cold Ones with Marc and Matty Ice, still talking some NFL right now. And right now, what we're going to talk about is the two biggest storylines of the season. The two undefeated teams, Indianapolis Colts, New Orleans Saints. Mark, what do we got here? We got two undefeateds, 12-0, tough to get to.
Now, Matty, I have a little bit of a law background. What you want to do, you want to examine both sides of the argument. We're gonna take a look at the Colts. Now, you think undefeated. You're like, okay, they're undefeated. They must be blowing teams out.
If you remember the Patriots 2007.
Patriots in 2007 were having 25-point spreads in an NFL football game, unheard of.
It's like watching a Madden game.
Beating teams by 40, unbelievable. Colts, not so much this year. You take a look, you really examine, you take the time out of your day and look at the Colts schedule. Week 1, they beat Jacksonville 14-12. Week 2, at Miami, remember that Monday night game, won by 4 points, had the ball for about 12 minutes of the game. Week 8, they were trailing at home against San Francisco, ended up winning the game at the end. Houston, they won by a field goal. You remember the Chris Brown of Houston missed the field goal to tie. Everybody remembers that Belichick game where they should have lost to the Patriots and Belichick gave him the game.
4th and 2.
He gave him the friggin' game. Baltimore, great defense in Baltimore. Picked off Manning a couple times. The Colts escaped with a 17-15 victory. And of course, it doesn't look like that on the scoreboard against that Houston game. They won 35-17. However, they were trailing.
It was a tale of two halves.
It was a tale of two. They were trailing 17-3 at one point.
Right. So when you look at that and you compare that to the Patriots' undefeated run in 2007, very different kind of thing. And the Colts have been here before. They started off 13-0, I believe, didn't make the Super Bowl that year. I'm not so sure they really want to go undefeated, not like anybody doesn't, but I kind of think that they would be okay with a loss, considering they already have the division wrapped up. They already have basically home field wrapped up. I think they'd be okay with a loss here, but I'm not saying they're going to gun for a loss. Looking at their remaining schedule, they got Denver at home this weekend. Next, they got Jacksonville in Jacksonville, and then they finish off with the Jets in Indy and at Buffalo. A cupcake schedule.
Here's what they're going to do, Matty. They're going to beat the Broncos this week. They're going to beat Jacksonville next week. And they're going to sit Peyton Manning for the last 2 games. They're going to put in Jim Sorgi.
2 games.
He's going to play. He'll play a little bit in those games. But they're going to have Sorgi in. But here's the thing. They're still going to win with Sorgi. The Jets, Mark Sanchez, complete loser. Buffalo, the whole team, complete losers.
Losers. On the opposite side of the token, the Saints, who have not had as rocky a time getting here. You look at their games. You have what do we got here? We got against Miami when they were down 24-10 at half. And I remember one of my friends, big time Dolphins fan, he was, oh yeah, here we go. But even he was uneasy because that offense, you never know.
At any point of the game, you're never safe. It's like playing the Yankees in baseball. No matter what kind of lead you have, you're never safe. Same thing happened in Week 9. Carolina was up 17-0, 17-6 at the half. Saints ended up winning, I think, 30-20 in that game.
30-20. Breeze comes back. He throws for 330 yards. And then just this past week against that Washington Redskins team, tricky Redskins team. Mm-mm. I remember I was out of town. I wasn't really paying attention. I happened to go into a bar. I look up at the screen. Saints are down by 10 with about 4 minutes to go. You got a quick strike here. You got a quick field goal by the Saints. Washington gets the ball, about to put away the game with a chip shot field goal, wide right.
And I was watching the game with a couple of my buddies on the DirecTV Sports package, and you knew right then and there that Washington was done. They had their chance to put away the champs. They couldn't do it. And you knew Breeze was going to go right down the field.
You just had that feeling.
You can see it coming, and you feel bad for the Redskins. You feel bad for Sweezum, who is...
That was out of a job.
He's out of a job. He's done. They fired him, and rightfully so.
You can't push a chip shot field
Come
goal.
on.
It's basically an extra point. You can't push that field goal.
Put them away.
And then in overtime, I mean, you just take care of business. Saints just get it done again. If you want to look ahead, you got Atlanta, the Cowboys, the Bucks, and the Panthers. In my opinion, it's a tougher schedule than what the Colts are going to see.
I think, the Colts are going to rest their players, like I said. A tougher schedule than the Colts. An easier schedule than the Colts, or a tougher schedule?
I think this is a tougher schedule.
You're saying it's a tougher schedule?
Yeah.
You're right, because you got the Cowboys who are complete losers, but you never know what's going to happen. Maybe they make a few plays on defense.
Atlanta's a tricky team.
Atlanta, tricky team.
They only beat Atlanta 35-27 earlier in the season.
Here's what's going to happen. If the Saints are 15-0, if they decide to, the theory in the NFL these days after that Giants Super Bowl win, what they did with playing their players, is play the players, especially with an offense like the Saints that's so in sync. You don't want to take a week off and get your offense.
You don't want to lose timing, and I think the Saints have something else to combat. And I know you're going to disagree. I don't care. The Vikings still have a chance to take home field. If the Saints want to rest their plays, they lose a couple games. You don't want the Vikings to take home field from you.
Listen, we talked about it in our degenerate gambling segment. I took Arizona to win the game outright. I told you Brett Favre would return to form. He's a complete bust. He will
bust. 19 years in the making. He's a bust.
He threw a pass. He wasn't even looking at the guy.
All right.
He threw an interception. He was looking right. He threw it left like he's some kind of hero.
Listen.
Well, go sell some jeans.
All right, he will. All right?
Always will be. Always will be. What are you talking about?
Right now. I'm wearing Wranglers right now. Listen.
Get a life. Go home and hunt. You're not hunting quail where you're supposed to look the other way and shoot.
God.
You're playing against the NFL. Carlos Dansby sitting right there. You're going to fake Carlos Dansby out? He knows you're an old man. You can't teach an old dog new tricks, Brett.
That game wasn't entire. I'm not getting into that game. I'm not getting into the game.
It's like your grandfather teaching you that card trick that you've seen 1,000 times.
No, it's not. Okay, listen. I'm not getting into the game. They still have a lot to play for. The Vikings can still catch them. I'm saying the Vikings can still catch them. Take home field advantage right out from under their nose.
Brett Favre will lose the season for the Vikings at some point, just like he did with the Jets, just like he did with the Packers.
He tore his bicep with the Jets.
Sure he did.
Oh, sure he did. All right. Anyway, enough Favre. Enough. Thoughts. Colts, Saints, both, neither. Undefeated.
I'm going to go with both.
Both. You think unprecedented we're going to have two undefeateds.
It may be a little bit wishful thinking, but both.
And I honestly think this is as cool as it is to see it. This is not Roger Goodell's idea of a grand NFL. No. Roger Goodell would love every team in the NFL to go 8-8. He wants parity, and we just had an undefeated season 2007.
Yeah, it's a little tricky, but I mean, if you look at the Colts games and you got a man from Stanford, one of those math professors, and you gave him the 7 games that they won that were close games, and you said, hey, Professor, give me a probability that they win all 7 of these games, it would be extremely high. So they're defying the odds right now. A little bit of destiny thing. Like Drew Brees said, the bounces are going our way this year.
They're going.
Maybe it's destiny, the teams of destiny, the Colts. Gary Player said it best. The harder you work, the luckier you get, and I guarantee you, nobody works harder than Peyton Manning or Drew Brees. They're not outside in Wrangler jeans throwing the ball around like Brett Favre is. They don't have time for that.
Anyway, we were talking about this before. The Colts could easily be 5-7 right now.
Oh, definitely.
So, but that's what the good teams do.
Right.
They find ways to win. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna say they both go undefeated too. I love disagreeing with you, and I hate you, but I'm going to have to agree with you.
I appreciate the sentiments, Matt.
But when we get to the playoffs, I don't think we're going to have a Saints-Colts Super Bowl. I don't.
I would love to see that both teams go undefeated and both teams lose in the first round.
You would love to see that?
I would love to see the look on their faces.
See, this is why I hate you. You're a cynic. You don't root for the good things.
Listen, this isn't the movies. This isn't like Matt. You remind me a lot of Rocky Balboa. That you're always fighting the good fight, coming back from adversity, like the Saints. Drew Brees
and climbing the steps in Philadelphia.
But this isn't the movies, Matt. This is real life. And in real life, you can't beat the bad guy.